This week on the Erotic Awakening Podcast, episode 734, Leather Archives and Museum, and Solo Polyamory versus Single and Poly. Welcome to Erotic Awakening, an exploration of all things erotic, and the longest running podcast on kink and polyamory. If you are offended by adult topics or prohibited by law, it's recommended you stop listening right now. But first, I'd like to thank the amazing patrons of Erotic Awakening. You have kept and continue to keep this show and educational works alive and thriving. A special welcome to our newest supporters, Megan, Riches, and Kurt. If you'd like to be a part of the team that supports this continuing work, head over to patreon.com/erotic awakening and sign up today. Hi, everyone. I'm Dawn, and I'm here this week to continue the conversation on power exchange, polyamory, sacred sexuality, and everything in between. Today, we're going to explore the Leather Archives and Museum, and then solo polyamory versus single and poly. What's the difference? So first, we're going to start with the Leather Archives and Museum. I know I talk about this a lot on the show. I've mentioned it more than a few times over the years on the show, but what exactly is the Leather Archives and Museum? Now, luckily, I got to visit them once again. Like I said on the last show, I got to visit them once again a week or so ago and gave them a thumb drive with the Erotic Awakening episodes 1 through 732. Now, after I get a few of these under my belt where it's just me, then I will give them more episodes. But for now, episodes 1 through 732. So what does that mean? Why give it to the Leather Archives and Museum? Well, just today, I saw someone on Fetlife mention that they were concerned about the loss of stories, in kink and leather, and how dungeons came to be and how groups got started, and names of elders and people that have created things, and names of people that had been involved in creating the culture, and they were concerned about losing some of those stories. Well, I'm here to tell you that there is a list of repositories and museums and collections that collect all this stuff and are super excited when they get new things. And the Leather Archives and Museum in Chicago are one of these places. So I did a little Googling and a little Wikipedian to come up with some dates and stuff for you, just to give you a little bit of background of what the LA&M is. So it's a community archives, library, and museum located in the Rogers Park neighborhood of Chicago, Illinois. It was founded by Chuck Renslow, who I was fortunate to meet, and Tony DeBlaze in 1991. Its mission is making leather, kink, BDSM, and fetish accessible through research, preservation, education, and community engagement. So Renslow and DeBlaze, they founded the museum in response to the AIDS crisis, right? So leather and fetish communities and history and belongings were frequently lost or intentionally suppressed and discarded. So what was happening is that our leathermen were dying off and their stuff was given away or hidden or trashed, right, by family members and people that discovered the items and were offended or whatever, and they would trash the stuff. So by creating an archives and museum, it gave a place for these items and this knowledge to be secure. I mean, if you walk into the museum, there is a beautiful room that is nothing but leather jackets and vests and back patches and just so much history of so many people that have passed. I actually have in my will that my GLLA slave vest and my PXS vest and my House Meta vest, they all get willed to the Leather Archives and Museum unless I pass them down to someone. But yeah, I don't want them to be over flooded with such things, but I also don't want those items to get lost. Anyway, it's one of the many libraries. If you go to the website, which I'll have on the show notes, they actually have a list of museums and archives and collections across the country. So fabulous stuff. Now, as I'm looking through the website and I'm looking through a list of items that they have, I typed in Dawn Williams. And I got a bit emotional because the things that I and Dan and Kevin and Katie and Barrick and Sheba, that stuff is all documented. Everything I donated is documented. So they have a copy of our book, Sex Stories and Power Exchange, Living MS versions 1 and 2, Hearts and Collars, Lead, Follow, Love, which we wrote with Kevin and Katie. They have our 732 shows of the Erotic Awakening podcast. They have the DVD of the skit that Dan and I did of Charlie Brown getting back at Lucy for pulling the football that we did at GLLA 2010. They have Columbus space items that I sent them, program books from all the Power Exchange summits, video of Dan and I winning Master and Slave at GLLA 2010, video of us losing at the International MS contest in 2011. I mean, they've got all of that. I'm part of leather history. And that is just so cool. I mean, part of my legacy, I guess, is this podcast and education and books and programs and, and all kinds of stuff. That feels kind of weird. And yeah, I about cried on that one. That one's pretty cool to, mm. Anyway, pretty neat. A list of other things that I've given them over time. They have every program book from the AIS events in Columbus. So Cope, Winter Wickedness, Barrick and Sheba, who produced those events, gave me copies of all of those to give to the museum. So that's listed on the website. If you go on the website, you can type in Dawn Williams and the stuff will come back. So it is meeting notes and newsletters and bylaws for Moral, which was the Mid-Ohio Rose and Leather Group from 1998, program books from other small events that I've done or that I went to, attended, and a bag of run pins that I gave them from Ohio Leather Fest from the early 2000s. Just a lot of stuff listed when I typed in my name. That is just really cool. So the Leather Archives and Museum, literally a brick and mortar building in Chicago, Illinois. They still have workshops there and classes. They have a stage there and a little theater and stuff like that. I actually plan on going Saturday, and the person that's going to be presenting there is the lead of the BDSM science research team. So that's going to be fascinating, and I'm going to go. I've been in Chicago for 3 weeks, keep meaning to go to the Leather Archives and Museum, went once to drop stuff off, but I want to go to the classes. But I'm out in the suburbs, and it's Chicago. This is going to be on a Saturday, though, so I think I'll leave early morning so that I don't hit so much traffic, and then go tour that part of Chicago. So that'll be a lot of fun. And I get to see Brad again. So looking forward to it. Anyway, Leather Archives and Museum. Now, if you want to support them, because it takes a lot of money, they are a nonprofit And they need to make some upgrades to the building. They need to become ADA compliant. They need more room. They need more everything. So if you want to support them in any way, they have a couple of buttons on the front page of their website, which is leatherarchives.org. Oh, a way to support leather and kink and good stuff. So speaking of events, I have some coming up still and really looking forward to it. I just did the Elgin Munchers annual Kink Expo event, had a fabulous time, got to sell things, got to teach a class, got to play with somebody new, got to set up a play date for a future event. So that was all fun and just had a great time with some great people. And then I have some more things coming up. I have the Satyricon Vendor Fair, which is going to be in Madison in November. The Milwaukee's Naughty Munch, which is also in November. I'll be presenting and vending. And then vending at MSDB's 24th annual Bazaar, the Biz Baz, in Minneapolis in November. And then the Naughty Revival in Minneapolis in December, where I'll be presenting. So, Minneapolis, please, I don't need the snow. Can you not be like last year where I about froze my ass off? Keep up with all the places I'm presenting or vending and my online classes, discounts, and more via the Erotic Awakening newsletter. And get your EA shout out like Sarah of Oregon and Sean of Pennsylvania. So head over to eroticawakening.com and subscribe today. Now, also speaking of events, I'm also going to be teaching my first class at a regular hypno convention. That's going to be that's going to be pretty amazing. I'm going to be teaching energy hygiene, which since hypnotists work with clients and work with energy and emotions and all that type of stuff, they can learn a little hygiene. So I'm going to take that over there and need to make sure that I don't talk about sex or fucking or anything on that nature. It is clean. We'll see how that goes. All right, so there was a meme on our Discord channel that was about solo amory. And damn if I can find it again. I looked and looked and looked. I had saved it. I don't know where I saved it. I've lost it. And I scrolled back and I can't find it. But I remember it coming from Minotaurus, who is a patron that's on our Discord channel. And the meme was about solo amory. So I thought I'd bring that up tonight because my polyamory has changed. Am I solo amory or am I polyamorous and single? Maybe you can help me out on that one. What is solo polyamory? Well, solo polyamory is well, it's pretty much polyamory where you are your own primary partner. And I've heard of this before. I used to be part of Poly Columbus, and I mean, I still am. I'm a lifetime member. But people would talk about being solo poly, and I just didn't get it. And that's mainly because I had a primary partner. I'd been polyamorous for as long as I could remember, but during that, I'd always had a primary partner, secondary partners. I use those labels. I was hierarchical. I was in a hierarchical power exchange relationship and hierarchical polyamorous relationships. So solo polyamory, putting yourself first, it just never clicked for me, right? But that is what it is. You are your own primary partner. You prioritize your goals, your home base, your finances, and your time. And there can be slightly different definitions, but that's mainly what it is. You are your primary partner. And then poly and single is a description of like your current relationship status, which would be no partners right now, but poly. by approach or preference. Okay, so put another way, solo poly is about how you do relationships. Poly and single is about where you're at right now. So what am I? At the moment, I feel like I could lean either way, but can I really? Am I solo polyamorous? Well, I am currently putting myself first. Am I single and polyamorous? Yes and no. No, I guess it's no. I still have Big D. We have been partners for 12 years. Now, remember, I use labels, so he's been my secondary partner for 12 years. I'm his secondary partner. He has a wife that is his primary partner. We both like it this way. This is what we enjoy. We're both good at using labels. So this is what works for us. Now, after my breakup with my primary partner, I went to visit Big D and I told him, please tell your wife that I am not going to be turning you into my primary partner. Just because I've lost my primary partner does not mean you become my primary partner. I have not jumped onto a relationship escalator and expecting things for us to change. Now, years ago, that has happened to my primary partner and his other partners. So my metamours, his other partners, two of them lost primary relationships. And when they did, they turned him into their primary. He was used to being the boyfriend, and now he's their primary partner and leaning into him for all kinds of emotional support. So I reassured Big D's wife that that's not what I was going to be doing. I may ask for a little bit more emotional support while I'm going through the breakup, but I'm not like thinking of him as my primary partner. Right now, I'm thinking of me as my primary partner. I have never been on my own before, and right now I have no interest in nesting with anybody, with combining finances or household or anything. So, solo polyamory or single and poly or something else completely different. I mean, I am polyamorous. I've always been polyamorous. Or maybe right now I'm ethical, non-monogamous. And then, yeah, so E and M. Maybe I need to change everything to E and M while I'm trying to figure stuff out. Ethical, non-monogamous. I don't have to be poly, except I do end up falling in love with the people that I'm with. Very confusing. Or maybe it's not. Maybe you can give me your thoughts on this. Maybe I've missed something that's completely different. So if you want to let me know your thoughts on it, I can be found at Dawn_Awakening or Erotic Awakening, all one word, on Fetlife, or Erotic Awakening on Instagram, or just email me at dawn@eroticawakening.com. Be a part of the Erotic Awakening podcast community. You can become a patron of the show and get early access to the ad-free version of the podcast, a free copy of the audiobook Polyamory Toolkit, free ebooks, discounts on monthly Zoom classes, member-only Discord access, and more. Find all the goodies at patreon.com/eroticawakening. And then help others find us. You would think 16 years of the show, everybody would know about us, but they don't. So take a moment to support the podcast so people can find us, give us high ratings wherever you listen to the podcast, and most importantly, tell your friends about the show. Until next time, may your journey be filled with passion, joy, and a bit of naughtiness. Bye, everyone.